Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Diversability Amplified, the podcast where we elevate disability pride together by sharing the voices and stories of our community. I'm Marie Dagenais-Lewis, one of the content managers here at Diversability. I'm a pale-skinned woman wearing a black beanie, black shirt, and I have black hair, black lipstick. Oh, it's all black today. I am joined today by Nicole Luongo, a cerebral palsy advocate and one of our members from the Diversability Leadership Collective, for a chronically candid conversation about being disabled in life. I got closer to Nicole last year as she was advocating to light up the nation to go green for CP, which made me a lot more aware of the advocacy surrounding cerebral palsy. Nicole, I've noticed that a lot of the mainstream awareness surrounding cerebral palsy focuses on the childhood experience. Does that mean your CP went away on your 18th birthday? How does that work?
Hey, Marie, thank you for having me. I'm so honored to talk to you today. And you are absolutely right. As far as I know, I'm going to be, 49 in June, and my cerebral palsy isn't going anywhere. And that's one of the problems that a lot of us see. So you're right about that.
And so I guess one of my questions is, how do you, as a adult with CP, really fight that stigma? Because you matter too. Your experience is like most of the CP life. We're only children until we're 18,
Yeah, I mean, I like to say one of my famous quotes that's out there, because when I was, doing some things with World CP Day, I was on their first ever World CP Day committee, and they asked some of us to submit quotes, and that's one of mine where I said, like, children who have cerebral palsy grow up to be adults with cerebral palsy, and that's kind of my tagline, like, on my website. How I fight it is just by sharing my story. There's multifacets to my story, just like yours and other people that we know. I don't just advocate for awareness. I also advocate for selective dorsal rhizotomy, which is a life-changing surgery for cerebral palsy. So I just kind of put my story out there and try to help people, but it's really frustrating because just the other day I contacted a local news station to ask them if they would announce that March is Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month and that March 25th is National Cerebral Palsy Awareness Day, because we know how much the media loves all these national days. Mm-hmm. And they flat out said, no, there's too many of those days. We shy away from announcing them. And I was just like, wow, okay, I'm not going to get anywhere with this. So I'm going to put my advocacy efforts elsewhere.
And that just blows my mind coming from the media. I remember a lot of the kickers would be these outrageous awareness days that we've never heard of. Like, I swear on the weekend, I think my producer looked for the most outrageous one just so, it would make her job easier. It would be one less story she'd have to write because we could talk about this day that no one's ever heard of. And so it totally is frustrating because I just did a quick Google search as you were speaking for some CP stats, and nearly 1 to 4 births out of every 1,000 births it results in cerebral palsy, which is a lifelong experience.
Cerebral palsy is the most common physical disability in child, the most. So you just gave some of the statistics, and I want to jump in and add to that because that's why I get so frustrated. Now, I'm not taking away from any other disability. Please understand me. And you have something that's rare. So when I say, if it was something rare, I could better understand if the media wouldn't cover it because, oh, well, no one's going to know. That's all the more reason why they should. If there's something rare, help get the word out. But you know how the media works because you work in the media. So yeah, I know I get so frustrated and I get on my soapbox and I'm like, it only takes like 20 seconds, but
and really, because I know exactly what you mean. Like, when I was in the media, like, I was told a lot of the times that whenever I would pitch my stories about my rare disease, multiple hereditary extosis, they'd be like, I think you might be the only person in our viewing area that this matters to. And, I got it, but it was still frustrating. So, like, I can't even imagine it's not even one of those cases, because 1 to 4 out of every 1,000 births that is a major number. That really, this is something big. This is something that it impacts so many people. And when it
There's
comes,
no cure, Marie. There's no cure, and there's no federal funding for it either.
and see, maybe that's the problem, because the ableist society is always looking for the cure. The cure culture of the ableist society is we need to be cured to be able to have that fulfilling life. So do you think that since cerebral palsy is a lifelong, incurable, just you have to adapt to it, do you think that's one of the things that makes it that it's not one of those glamour type of things to the ableist society?
I've tried to think about, what is it? And that's a good point, because that may be part of it. I do think maybe it might just still be known as, oh, that's something that kids have. But people don't think it all the way through. Yes, some people do get diagnosed when they're adults too. That does happen. But generally you're diagnosed as a child. But those kids grow up. So I mean, we have lives and everything in between, and we are worthy, like you said. Our stories are worthy, our contributions to the world are worthy. But if they're not even willing to make an announcement on a local station, because I wanted to go national, that's what I want, so that it's an every year thing that all these shows do, just like Autism Awareness Month, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Just give us the same seat at the table. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking to bump anybody else or don't mention this and that, just add us to the conversation.
Right. And like, I feel like so often that's maybe one of the things too, is that like people don't realize the table can grow. We can choose to make that table as big as we want it to be. One thing I've noticed from talking to you and just other advocates is our diagnoses and our personal experiences, they're different, of course, but we all have the general type of experiences of like living under medical gaslighting, experiencing the invalidation, and all of that it's like, why can't we just grow that table?
Yeah, and that's why that's what's beautiful about the DLC, the Diversability Leadership Collective, is because for the first time in my life, Marie, I am surrounded by people who get it, because they have either a physical disability, a visible one, or a non-visible one. So, we're all kind of in the same group together, and we're doing different things. Some of us are doing similar things, but we could see what's possible for us too.
It's like the beauty of being a disabled adult too, is that you were that disabled child sometimes, because there are experiences where disability is acquired later in life, but you and we have the same experience of we were born disabled. So we were that disabled child that became that disabled adult. And it's like, I feel like the knowledge and expertise that we have can be life changing for the generations to come because of that lived experience. It's like the ableist society will not like devalue the patient expertise, and that's something that I feel like being a disabled adult, whether you acquired your disability later in life, whether it was a lifelong thing, that patient expertise is essential to every advancement in the medical, scientific, cultural world even.
Especially in today's day and age, when you can look everything up and you can find all this information. Like, think about years ago, maybe even when you were first diagnosed, who could you go to say, well, I was just diagnosed with this. What is it? What do I do?
Exactly. And like, so my mom, she tells me I was diagnosed in 1994, and it was pre-Google. So my mom was at the library. She was looking it up. She didn't know anybody with this rare disease. And it's like, I feel like we have a duty kind of, in a sense, as people who have grown up in a world as a disabled child where knowledge was inaccessible, community was inaccessible. It's like we kind of have that duty to be the trailblazers, to make sure that people understand disabled children grow up to be disabled adults. And that's natural. It's beautiful. That's the way it is. Why make that something to be shameful for when we can't do anything about that?
Why is it such a rare concept?
Right? Acceptance.
Everybody grows up to be older than what they were before. So what's the difference?
Right. And like, I think it really stems from the whole peer culture too, from the ableist society of, well, maybe they'll grow out of it. Maybe this is growth pains, growing pains. That was something that they always told me. Oh, it's growing pains. I stopped growing in 4th grade. I was always short. Like, maybe not 4th grade, but I stopped growing a long time ago. And it's like it's like that wishful thinking. And I know a lot of times, maybe I don't know because I was never the parent of a disabled child, but I assume that maybe parents don't want to think of their child in this way because the way the ableist society makes them feel. And so maybe when they're an adult, they'll have the power to get better, the power to overcome. You're not disabled unless you have a bad attitude, that type of thing.
You bring up a good point. I know a lot of parents of children and adults with cerebral palsy, and they're out there doing great work because they're trying, just like we are, to change the narrative. Like, hey, look at my kid. My kid's doing, these things, and it just so happens to have cerebral palsy. And there's all, of course, we know different degrees of cerebral palsy, just like there is for other disabilities too. But no matter where you are, mild, moderate, severe, the 4 different types, you can live a full life depending on what that means for you and maybe your parents and your family. And I think, you and I are examples of that because we're getting out there when people, I don't know if they might think that of you or me, but maybe they would think, well, what would they have to offer? Well, listen, as long as my brain is working, I can offer a whole lot.
Oh, yeah. Like, quite often, honestly, I've had to explain to people that I am not miserable in my disabled life because it doesn't look like yours. Trust me, I choose to stay in bed every day because I know it's what's best for me. And that's not me being bedridden, it's me taking care of myself and making my office my bed. So I'm not just wallowing in my pain, I'm working in my pain. I'm designing in my pain. It's like, to me, with my life, like accepting my whatever I am, who I am, what I am, unapologetically as I am, and just living to that, it's given me such a full life. And so, like, a lot of times I've had to explain it to, like, my parents, for instance, who have grown up in that older generation where you have to be physically active, you have to work a 9 to 5 job. If you don't have this specific type of life, then are you really living? I've had to explain to them that I'm very fulfilled with being alone in my room every day because I'm not alone. I'm online. I have the Diversability Leadership Collective. I have not just my friends, but I have kindred spirits from all around the world where I don't even have to talk to you guys. I could just scroll and feel your energy and I'm not alone.
Right.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is, because where would you go where you live and instantly be connected with any number of people from 10 to 40 to 60? It just grows. You just really couldn't do that. I mean, I had a friend of mine was telling me the other day, she was worried about me because I don't go outside. It would give you a fresh air and it would give you, clarity. And I'm thinking, I'm clear. I know what my goals are. I achieve a lot of my goals. I meet more people in one day by being a part of the DLC and other things that I'm doing in the community virtually, that there's no reason for me to leave my home and possibly get sick in the times that we're in. So just like you, I'm happy. It's society's viewpoint of what they see as more normal than something that is not deemed as normal. So yeah.
For real. And it's like too, when I know back in the day when prior to COVID, back when going out was the thing and you had to be social. And if you weren't being social, you weren't living. like it was so much pressure, like for me as someone who was disabled, chronically ill, neurodiverse, it's really hard to even just keep up with those societal expectations. Do I have the right emotion on my face? Am I reacting quick enough? Did I comfort them in the way they wanted to be comforted, or do they think I invalidated them because I communicate differently? And it's like, be like, what's great right now is we can choose our spaces in the ways we want to, and by choosing them, we get to live under our own rules where we feel comfortable. And as a disabled adult who was a disabled child, where I felt like I had to fit into a mold where like I was the circle and I wasn't fitting into the square, man, it is just life-changing stuff.
Yeah, and we're contributing positively to society. I mean, if y'all don't know what Marie does, I can't keep track of everything that she does, but she is an artist. She creates beautiful work. She has 2 books. I have one of her shirts. I'm not wearing it today because I totally forgot I was doing something else before this, but she knows I love her and she knows I love her work. But I mean, so in today's day and age, so much is possible. And if we're open to possibilities, we can do so many things. It doesn't matter if you have a disability, and if you don't want to do these things, you don't have to, but we're just saying it's possible if you are interested.
Exactly. If you choose to do these things, you can, but you make that choice. Never feel compelled to jump into advocacy. You just living and accepting yourself as you are is the best form of rebellion that you can ever ask for. So you don't even have to do more. You can choose to do more. And if you want to, then we would love to help you out, support you any way possible. And it starts small. Like one thing that really inspires me as we start to close about Nicole's advocacy is she always saw what she wanted and then reached for it. And didn't matter if she was going to be told no, because if she got told no, she'd go to a different platform. And through that, she has bylines in the Huffington Post. She has bylines that are very, like, I can't even remember all of them. You have a poetry book. You are the reason that so many buildings in the nation have lit up green the last few years for cerebral palsy. And it all started with one idea, one person's experience, knowing that I think I can do this. And so I'm going to try. And that's something that's always been so inspirational to me, Nicole. And I'm so grateful that you sat down and you took the time to speak to us. And I would want to end with, how can we celebrate you? How can we follow you? And how can we keep up with all of the work that you're doing?
Well, thank you. I've really enjoyed talking to you today, and thanks for the kind words. I have a website, NicoleLuongo.com, NicoleLuongo.com. You can find all my social media accounts there, but on Instagram, I am at what CP looks like, and on Twitter, I'm at green, the number 4CP, green 4CP, and I do have a Go Green for FORCP page on Facebook. How can people celebrate me? Well, just if cerebral palsy is important to them, if they have CP or they know someone who has CP, join us next month and wear green. And if you would want to contact, a local station or tweet them and say, hey, will you make an announcement on TV? If you live there locally, they might want to do a story on you because they love to tie that together. So that would be a way to get awareness out there, because it's not about me, but obviously I'm behind the person who is pursuing these ideas. So obviously, sometimes it will land me in the press too, and I'm not going to turn that away because that's more exposure for the cause. But yeah, so come join us, and if you want to raise awareness together, let's do it. And I would also invite you to join the DLC, because you guys, you don't know what you don't know, and what these people are doing, I mean, they're just going to take over the world in a positive way, and they're really getting so many issues that are important to the disabled community out there, whereas otherwise they just wouldn't be out there at all. So I tip my hat to everyone there.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Thank you all so much for listening to this series of Diversability Amplified, and we'll be back with more conversations. I hope you have a great rest of your day.